In this module, we'll try to understand the visibility conflicts. We know that Pardot is a totally different product. Salesforce Core, whether it's a sales or service cloud, is a totally different product. They vary when it comes to security, architecture, settings, right? But Pardot and Salesforce are connected via Salesforce and Pardot connector, and data is syncing almost in the real time, and that is also bidirectionally. So it is very much important to understand if there is any mismatch or kind of restrictive, less restrictive, or kind of more restrictive things when it comes to authorizations and sharing or access to the record or object will comes into the picture, how visibility will works, how things will be prioritized, right? So when a Pardot user has a Salesforce permission, right? When a Pardot user has a Salesforce permission that are more restrictive than the connector user. So when I'm talking about the connector user, actually I'm talking about this connector user, the Salesforce Pardot connector user. Because this is the basis of syncing data between these two systems, Pardot and Salesforce. So when a Pardot user has Salesforce permission that are more restrictive than the connector user, then Pardot user can view Salesforce data because data is syncing with Pardot in Pardot, but they don't have permission to view it in Salesforce. See, the same user, when it comes to Pardot, they can view those data, but not in Salesforce. So this is called a visibility conflict. Please note that I said they can view data, they cannot alter, change those data. For example, let's say Amit is a user, is a Salesforce user who doesn't have permission to view Salesforce campaign. It means when Amit will log into their Salesforce org, Amit won't be able to view Salesforce campaign because campaign is also syncing with Pardot. What about if Amit is doing something in Pardot? So Amit Salesforce user is syncing with Pardot user, right? Because Salesforce user and Pardot user is also in sync, right? And user, when it comes to, we'll talk about it later in this section, or maybe in the next module about the Salesforce Pardot user sync, right? So Amit Salesforce user is synced to a Pardot user. It means Pardot user, Salesforce user is also syncing bidirectionally. So Amit works on an engagement program in Pardot and create a step that adds a prospect to a CRM campaign, right? It means Amit is creating an engagement program there. He need to add a node or a step in that program where he will add a CRM campaign. In Pardot, they can view, but when it comes to Salesforce, they cannot. Amit sees all synced Pardot campaign in dropdown. He can choose any of those for that step or node which they are trying to configure because the connector user has permission to view and edit campaign in Salesforce. So always connector user will be having an edge, right? Amit also has access to view and edit Salesforce campaign within Pardot. So that's the beauty of Pardot and Salesforce connector and how authorizations and sharing will work when it comes to data visibility and what actually a visibility conflicts. We understand it with an example.